have two very special guests here. Now, if you're familiar within the Elgin area, you know that there are a lot of different shops around here, of course. Now, when it comes to, of course, biking as well, it's definitely a fun activity to do. It gets the heart pumping. It gives you good exercise. And of course, maybe a little breeze in your face too. So what we wanted to do is talk a little bit here as we have our special guests on the stage with us today, the Judson Bike Shop, And who I have with me today is not just one special guest, but two. We've got John Ashworth here onto the stage, who is a member of the Judson Bike Shop, as well as a professor at Judson University. And I've also got my brother Ryan with me here as well today. Thank you both for joining us today. How are you both doing?
Good. Very
well,
good.
I know you're good because I saw you earlier this morning.
Yeah, doing well. It's been a good day so far. I sadly didn't bike here this morning, but we made it out.
You didn't bike this morning here?
I should have.
Oh, well, that's all right. Totally fine. So, John, tell us a little bit about yourself, a little introduction, if you will.
Yeah, my name is John Ashworth. I came from the Netherlands in 2015 for Judson University, much like yourselves. And we realized we didn't have too many modes of transit other than the car to get. Judson is kind of segregated away from downtown Elgin and the cool area around us here that's got all these shops popping up. And so for rides and getting places and entertainment, it was kind of always dependent on how many seat belts are in the car, you know? And I would struggle getting back from O'Hare. I have to go down to Chicago and then come back, basically a 3-hour trip to get to Elgin, to span what takes 30 minutes by car or a $40 Uber. And so over time, going to college at Judson, I realized we needed other sort of modes of transit in our area. And we started a little grassroots thing with a couple people at Wilson Hall originally by the rec room, and it expanded until the university couldn't say no to us anymore, and our presence sort of permeated through the campus. Yeah.
So did you kind of, I wouldn't say did you have to use force, but were you kind of like, hey, we're here and we're gonna make this happen, or was it kind of?
We asked permission with the initial RD of Wilson Hall, but there were definitely other moments where we had to sort of keep our stance on the ground when it comes to Wilson Hall, and then advocating for a different spot once they kicked us out of Wilson Hall because it was, a guys only sort of dormitory with card readers. So you can't just let anyone in there, and we were trying to open up potentially more to the public. And so they let us expand into this big basement, and now we have basically 3 locations on campus.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think in the basement area because I'm trying to remember as best as I can what it looked like. I'm trying to remember.
Of Wilson Hall or
Wilson
where?
Hall in the basement, where it's located. So it's located at is it in the Betty Lindner campus commons?
So that's where our front operations are at the former bookstore, right? It's now called the Judson Spirit Store. And that's where we do a lot of our rentals and all the merch and there's like stickers for the Judson Bike Shop and all that kind of stuff is out there, drinks and all that. But where we do all the repairs and where the mechanic comes in and fixes stuff up is over at the campus apartments, actually right behind Herrick Chapel. In that basement, yeah. I think you probably know. Or remember. Yeah. It's a little hard to explain to people sometimes.
Is that when the start of the year we had that glow in the dark party?
No, that was
it's Volkman.
Okay. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's all good.
So of course, with the Judson Bike Shop, of course, you're a bicycle repair shop. So of course, you offer those bike repairs there too. You said you also offer merchandise. If you want to talk a little bit about that, what do you have featured?
Yeah, we have a whole website now that offers like everything from mugs to hats and tote bags and stickers and phone cases. And I got a notification the other day when someone bought a Judson Bike Shop phone case, and I was like, oh, super cool. And I reached out to the person who it was, and there's a couple cars I've noticed on campus with Judson Bike Shop logos on the back of their cars. So yeah, it's been really neat to see some of that. We also, for a couple people, special mechanics every now and then come through. I had a guy, his name is Mauricio. He came through for just 2 weeks before going off to college in Wisconsin, and he helped us, and we paid him hourly, and we gave him a little gift of a cool like pro bicycle shirt or something, or a hat or something like that.
Oh, that's cool. So offering that merch definitely gets people into the building and kind of curious, like, oh, okay, maybe maybe I'd like to get my bike repaired. Now, how long does it usually take? I'm sure maybe each individual bike is different.
Yeah.
Via client, but like a ballpark, what would you say? I mean, I think, again, it really just kind of depends, but.
Yeah, no, for like really small, sometimes people literally just need their bike pumped up, and that's free. And we just, pump it right up there on the spot. I think most bike shops do that, where they'll offer a pump out in front of their place.
Nice.
For people to just do that. Back home in the Netherlands, there would just be a hose attached to the outside of the wall that at any point during the day or even the night, I believe, unless they locked it up for the night, you could just show up with your bike and pump it up right there on the spot. So we try to offer a couple pumping stations around campus just available at all times. So that's free and takes literally 10 seconds. But bigger operations, say a cassette or a freewheel or a inner tube or tire change, inner tubes I've done for people on the spot within 5 to 10 minutes. Other times we say, hey, do you have time to wait a couple days or something like that, and then we'll get it to you.
Very nice. Yeah. So we've got Ryan here, my twin, and he's here today too because he wanted to tell us. We want to talk a little bit about your experience too, because you had a bike that
I did. Yeah. Yeah. So I had a bike that I unfortunately left out in the sun for a bit too long.
In the rain or no?
In the rain, in the sun, and just with all the weather conditions we've had throughout the year. And it damaged the gears. It got them all rusted and stuff. And so I texted you and asked if when we went on our bike ride, hey, I got this bike, it's kind of in bad shape, if you want to
take a look at it,
give it a look and see. And you did an amazing job.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think we gave you a loaner.
Yeah.
Because yours took us a little bit longer than usual to work on.
Yeah.
Because I think the back cassette of the rear tire was really, really rough. I think when many people around campus will leave their bikes out in the rain, and especially if it's over the winter, oh boy, that's problematic because all the rain and the snow just gets at the metal and just rusts away and corrodes everything. And so then you have to replace everything and the chain and so forth. But yeah, I'm glad we were able to get you a loaner because I already knew that particular project was going to take quite a long time. And so I'm like, preemptively, let's get you a loaner bike for now, just to ensure that it's not going to be such a pain to leave your bike aside for a long time.
Yeah, I think that's great that you offer the loaners as well too to people who maybe want to do bike riding and they're like, this is the only bike I have and it's not in the best of the tip-top shape. So offering those loaners too I think is really gracious. I think that's awesome. So you can actually, so the website is judsonspiritstore.com. And then I think you also have a Facebook page as well too.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it.
I'm so used to calling it Twitter. I know it is X. It's X.
We stick with Twitter pretty much. People know what that means. I'm not talking about an ex-wife or something.
Right. Exactly. Now, here's something else cool too. You've got something coming up here pretty soon on the Saturday rides. You want to talk a little bit about the Saturday rides here?
Yeah, every Saturday we get together. It's a different group of people every single time. You've been on the ride a couple times. And we need to provide a weekly committed place for people to build community with each other. And biking is a great way to do that. The adventure is always different. You might think, oh, you can only go north or south on the Fox River Trail. And that might be the case, but you can just spur off into so many different directions and places. And last week we went, the guy Mauricio, apparently he lived close to Dundee, and so we visited his house and they were doing some construction there. And then, you could get some breakfast or coffee here downtown. The Dream Hall. And so we have different destination rides that we'll do. Sometimes if the group is more adventurous and wants to do more mountain biking, we'll take everyone up to Raceway Woods, right, and do this mountain biking. But most times it's pretty chill, leisurely pace. So people ask, oh, do I need to be a professional? Do I need to have a helmet and all the gear for this? I'm like, no. There's other rides, other shops that do that on a more professional basis. And I've been a part of those. For example, in Algonquin, there's the Trek store every Saturday morning. I believe it's at 7 a.m. every Saturday at 7 a.m. They do.
nice.
You think 9:30 is early? They do 7 a.m.
7 a.m.
I think it might even be 6, but 7 a.m. they have 3 group rides, A, B, and C, and they go 15, 20, and 25 miles per hour. I can't do the 20 or 25. I stick with a 15 miles per hour group. But yeah, ours is pretty chill. It's more like 5 to 10 miles per hour probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about Judson too is you have some beautiful paths as well to go walking and biking. And I mean, there were so many times that we would do it too with we didn't bike, but we would walk.
We would walk, and
especially
I mean,
in the fall time.
It's beautiful
the trails.
in the fall.
Yeah. Coming up this upcoming month, it's gonna be gorgeous.
Yeah. I mean, when we went to Judson, I always had my camera. Almost. A lot of times.
You had it with you all
cameras,
the time. Yeah.
I always took pictures of the fall. I just loved it. Doing the photography. I still have all those pictures on my computer. I've got like a college album. I have all of it.
Just sitting there.
Yeah.
We were looking at them the other day.
I was like, oh wow, yeah. So very interesting. But so again, this is really cool. The Saturday ride, Saturday mornings at 9:30 a.m. And then you meet behind the Herrick Chapel as well too. And it's free of charge as well, so anyone can join. Absolutely. Very, very cool. There was another question pardon me, I was going to ask, so for the bike rental programs, what is the what is, like, you know, if there's like a 1-day fee or a 1-week fee, or even like even if you have like a full semester fee? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we figured for a lot of people, biking is kind of a little bit of a fear thing, and not. Some people are a little scared by the idea, and so we wanted to make it as low entry as possible within our community, and even within Judson, to help people realize, no, you don't have to be, you know, afraid of this, and it's really low entry. And so it's only $10 for a day, $20 for a week, and $30 for a whole semester. Oh, wow. The summer being its own semester. So yeah, fall, spring, summer semester are their own semesters, and most people end up choosing that route because they just decide to take the full semester. And you know what? That is a good steal of a deal, I would say. I'd say so too, yeah. Especially, you know, that you're renting your, what did I say, equipment? No, it's the bikes too. So now, how do you get the rental bikes? What's the process of that? That's a great question. So we have a couple partnerships that we slowly built up over time with other bike shops in the area. They are for-profit, we are non-profit, and so when they get donations, they're often high-end or decently end bikes that they can't resell, and they don't want to fix them up because they have too many other projects themselves. But they want to support biking in the community, because supporting biking in Elgin supports them as well, right? As more people get onto the trails, the more it supports that culture at large. So they put aside bikes for us at times. And we go by and get those. Sometimes I purchase them off of garage sales. Sometimes I purchase them off of Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, you name it. People just, last night, someone from the community at Judson, she just donated this old classic that is going to be a really fun project to work on. So they come from all over. Yeah, I've had people come from Indiana. Oh, wow. Just across the border, Wisconsin, to either buy, give, sell, donate, you name it. I've got 3 tandems now. Potentially getting a recumbent, first recumbent potentially this upcoming Sunday. We're gonna see wherever they come from. God just keeps providing them. That's awesome. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, wow. From, you said Indiana? Yeah, people. Oh my gosh. He wanted to buy a BMX off of us out of Indiana. Wow. Yeah. Oh, that is so cool. So this is on the JudsonSpiritStore.com. I'll even pull it up on the screen here so you can see the 1 day is the $10, extra day 5, 1 week is 20, and then full semester is 30. And then of course you also do have your contact information on there too for anyone that is interested in getting in touch. See that white bar? There's a little white bar there. Kayak. Yeah. Oh yeah, for the kayak rental information. There we go. There's another one. Okay, so let's talk about this. We got the kayak rental program. Oh my goodness, this is so cool. For an hour, it's $15. Extra hour is $5. That's pretty cool there too. I'm sure. Have you done the kayaking? Of course, yeah. I've actually swam in the Fox River a couple times now. By now, but we've had so many people come through. Oh, there's Tia. Yeah, multiple, even Dr. Kroom's whole family, the president of Judson University and his whole family, on my birthday, the 4th of July, they came through last year to do the rental program. And so
that's awesome.
I'm really excited about the program.
I know you said, T. Agason?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Very nice.
Strong towns.
There you go. Very cool. And you said, okay, so you also said here too that I was going to talk, I think there was another thing I was going to talk about here with the Judson bikes, but if you want to stay in longer too, we can talk about if there's any other upcoming things coming up at Judson too, because I definitely would want people to know about that as well. But what we can do here too is also talk about how do you stay like current with industry trends and like technological advancements in bicycles, because we're seeing here too a lot of those motor bicycles becoming very
popular. E-bikes and all that. Yeah, we do occasionally do repairs on e-bikes. I try to avoid them. In all honesty, they have a lot of hazards when it comes to the lithium battery, and other parts and components that need expert care that our shop is willing to learn, but it's a little bit higher up the pay grade, so to speak. So I'd prefer to refer that to other people whenever we get that. But if it's a tire change or something simple, we can do that. But flushing out the brakes or something, that's pretty complex. We have about 3 employees now, and we're trying to constantly, I don't know, people talk about reinventing the wheel. The bike has been around for quite a long time. And so it's both changing rapidly and also not at the same time, it feels like. But it's such a beautiful, like, ancient piece of technology, kind of like a book. I don't think it's ever going to be gone. I think we're always going to have it. And so as long as we get the basics and the fundamentals down right, I think we'll be in good shape, and we don't have to be too worried about getting every fancy mountain bike and e-bike, and cargo bikes are now a thing. People are doing electrified or motorized cargo bikes, and they're doing motorized tandems and going on races in motorized like e-tandems, and like anything that you can imagine, they put a little electric motor on it, and it's all motorized these days. But we don't need to dab into that. We're just barely touching the market within our community of people who just want to start biking in general. And I mean, it's a great health benefit too. You get your exercise. There's something really cool about learning how to balance on the bike as well too. I learned a little bit. You and I learned a little bit later, and I mean, we learned how to ride two-wheeler when we were like 10 years old. 10 or 11.
Yeah,
so,
we were late.
I mean, a little bit.
Bike,
we were still very young, but
still, at least you learned at some point.
Right. I mean, I had heard of kids that learned when they were 4 or 5 years old, 6 years old, and we learned when we were 10. I think maybe even 11. I think we were maybe 10 or 11. So it took us a while to learn, but again,
do you have the training wheels?
The training wheels.
Training wheels.
Yeah, we had the training wheels until we were like 10, because we just couldn't get it, and then something happened, and we were able to balance it out a little bit more too. So. Very, very cool. Well, we've got a couple minutes left. If you want to stay for another like 15 minutes too at the top of the hour, we can talk about any other upcoming Judson events. If you want to talk about what classes that you have to offer in case anyone might be interested, we can do that for sure. We've got like a minute or so left here. So what I want to do is we can mention here too. I mean, just a general question, but what do you hope people can get out of with Judson Bikes?
I hope that it benefits their own personal lives. It's not about us. It's not about the shop. It's about getting people passionate about their own things in their own lives. I can do the little things, buy a bike now, right? I can go to the bank. I can go to the grocery store, and help people find passion in their own health journey, in their own fitness, in their own lives. Yeah,
absolutely. And again, there's like we have downtown Jose, who's local here in Elgin, that he does biking. He's biking every day. Really? That's his means of transportation, is his bike. And I mean, it's definitely inspiring too to people. To go on a bike ride. You'll definitely feel the difference versus driving a car every day too. So
it's true. I think you're more connected with the community and the nature and the world around you. So, yeah. Absolutely.
Well, folks, we are in the bottom of the hour, so we're going to I want to continue on because I'm having fun with this. We'll talk a little bit more about any upcoming events at Judson. If you want to talk about, we can just talk about anything. It's been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah,
So this is a nice kind of catching up reconciliation. It's like, and I'm glad you're here too.
Yep.
Yes, you're always in Redemption Center. You'll be here Saturday.
Saturday at 9 until 3. I will be here.
9 till 3. There you go. Folks, we're going to take a quick time out, take it to the top of the hour news, and then messages from our sponsors. And then when we come back, we'll discuss more here. You're listening to Out to Lunch with WRMN, AM 1410, Voice of the Valley, Talk of the Town. Stay tuned. We'll be back with a little bit more in just a bit. All right. Welcome back, folks, to Out to Lunch with WRMN, broadcasting live here from downtown Elgin. Hopefully you're enjoying the show so far. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can comment live on youtube.com at WRMN Radio. Don't forget, you can also message our Image 360 info line. That number is 505-926-1410, 505-926-1410. We've got our guests here today, of course. My other half, my twin brother Ryan, is here with me. And we got John Ashworth from Judson Bikes. And now I also want to talk about a little bit here too, because I was very curious about some of the upcoming events with Judson. But we'll start off here too, talking a little bit about you're a professor. That is so cool. That is so cool. If you want to talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, it's been about a year and a half in the making now of me being able to be an adjunct professor at Judson, which is, I think, different from a professor. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like a commitment thing, whereas a professor is more of a perhaps full-time status. I only teach currently one class per week. But yeah, between project management in the business department and business for the common good, those are the two classes I've been helping teach at Judson for the past year and a half, almost 2 years now, since Dr. Groppel and Dr. Krum helped sort of onboard me into that process. And it's been really fun to do that. And I always knew I kind of had a love for teaching. I just don't know how much longer I'll be doing it. I'm trying to pursue a career in other directions perhaps as well. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So the class you teach, can you elaborate a little bit more on what it is?
Yeah, so Business for the Common Good. Last semester we taught it and it had 45 students.
Okay.
And this semester it's about 15. So it's about a third the size, which is a little bit tough because I was trying to prep for like 40 to 50. And all of a sudden the class is going to be completely different. And it's entirely based on a debate structure.
Okay.
So with 45 students, I came up with the idea that also even to avoid a bunch of lectures and a bunch of potentially me boring them for an hour every single week. Not that I would not have content, because we definitely do, but I also want to engage the class better. So it's a debate structure of 2v2. So it'd be, for example, us two versus you and someone else. And we take on a different company every single week. So maybe it's Patagonia or Walmart, or we actually did Rediscover Records at some point.
Nice.
And the question that is being debated is this an ethical company or not? And the one side debates it's the most ethical company ever, and the other one debates that it's of the devil and completely evil and unethical. And so Rediscover Records actually came out as being highly ethical, partially because what we've discovered is that the smaller a company is, even like the Judson Bike Shop, the more people have the notion that it's not that evil. The bigger a company is, the more we start to make assumptions and beliefs like, oh, there's probably some malpractice going on. There's probably some child slavery going on with the fashion industry or clothing production out in India or Thailand or China or something. So that's been some of the conversation with a different company every single week.
You hit those hard questions, those questions that need to be recognized.
Yeah.
Those statements too. So that's good that you have that debate structure rather than just having students sit there and you lecture them. You have that debate. It gets the students involved.
Yeah.
To converse with each other and to connect with each other. And I think that's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, because even if someone prepares an entire speech over ChatGPT, you still need to stand here, even like, for example, at radio or whatever, you still need to be able to stand up there in front of class potentially in front of 40 other students, 20 other students, and deliver it and not completely embarrass yourself in front of people. So at some point we need to practice being able to negotiate and talk with others in front of large audiences, regardless of the subject. Even if they prepare some of it in ChatGPT, I want them to learn how to really put their ideas to the test in front of other people.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Chat GPT has been very helpful. I use it just as like a general tool to assist me.
Yeah.
Not completely doing the work just entirely for me, but
Right.
also being
Like
able
Google.
to. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Just a tool to use to help me with to get the ideas flowing, and then it'll even lead on to other things, other questions that I might have as well, like with interview questions and scripts and things like that too. So it's definitely a great tool to use though as well. But I think that's great that you're able to teach a class like that. You're able to get students involved, and it's something to be really proud of too. And especially at such a wonderful school, Judson University. As well. Are there any other cool upcoming events that you want to talk about too?
Oof, there are always some great events coming up. Aside from me being biased towards the bike shop, there's a bunch of great things. World Leaders Forum is always a really fun one. I believe, look that up. We'll have the former Prime Minister of Canada. I looked up actually the list of Prime Ministers of Canada, and I think he was right before Justin Trudeau.
Okay.
So pretty current, pretty recent. He'll be speaking at the World Leaders Forum for Judson this upcoming session. There you go. Wow.
Very cool.
Yeah. And
Stephen J. Harper, former Canadian Prime Minister. That is so cool. That's the really cool thing about Judson as well, is you get a lot of really big, well-known people to talk to.
They have some interesting connections. Yeah, they have some pretty cool connections when it comes to former presidents or current CEOs and chairmen and people of influence around the world. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. What was the Olympic gymnast name? I remember seeing her in person. I can't remember her name.
Oh, the girl.
For the live, I'm scrolling through trying to figure out what her name was. It was back in 2016.
I saw Nick Vujicic.
Oh, who was it?
Nick Vujicic, the gentleman. I think he's from Australia. He doesn't have any arms or legs, but he's like a inspirational speaker all around the world.
You guys had I'm trying to think who it was. He's famous in which he's done like contortionist.
The actor.
The actor, yes. I remember I was there for that. I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. Oh gosh, the name is slipping me on who it was.
The Queen of the Nation of Jordan.
Really?
So Queen Noor of Jordan. They had former president of Mexico. I think they had George W. Bush.
Mary Lou Retton. Yes.
Yeah.
That's who it was. That's who you had. It was back in maybe 2016 or 2017.
Yeah, probably back then.
Yeah. That was really cool too to see, and I saw her in person as well, which is really, really cool. So the World Leaders Forum is one definitely to check out. I'm trying to think of anything else as well too. The arts program is really good too. With do you remember Professor Colpitz? Is she still there?
She is, Colpitz.
Oh my goodness.
She's awesome. Yeah, she and Professor Carl and Professor Colshaw and many others are still doing great work over at the Harme Weber Academic Center.
Yeah.
And they take I think it's either every semester or every year. There's a trip that goes up to Hamilton in Wisconsin.
Oh yes.
Two Rivers. Mm-hmm. Did you go on that one?
I wanted to go on it. I remember Professor Colpitz did it. I think was it twice a year?
I think
maybe
it's
just
once a year.
Yeah. I remember seeing her showing me pictures of it, or I think they had them maybe on the wall at on the second floor of
in the
the
gallery.
Haywack.
Gallery.
Yeah. That's cool too. I remember hearing.
It's the
about that.
largest collection of wood type in I think the nation.
Okay.
Because they would ship these big logs and process a bunch of wood over there in Two Rivers, Wisconsin, and basically have a little production factory for wood type, in which back in the day you wouldn't have a metal cast or or other forms of typography. They didn't invent that yet. They just simply hand carved and then machine carved the letters for newspapers and so forth with wood blocks. And so they have the largest collection in perhaps the United States or even the world.
Yeah, I just remember now. I think you and I did a tour before we started. That there was a mention of that, the collection of those wood blocks. I think I remember. Was it in the basement of Haywack?
They have a little, at Judson, we have a little printing press and a little studio.
That's what is
a little letterpress studio.
Yeah.
And yeah, we don't have as big of a collection nearly as, of course, as Hamilton does. But we have a little bit of our own mini collection, and Colshaw is very proud of it.
Because I remember that was near where we used to do, we used to have a class. And then it was in the basement, and then you could see like the glass ceiling, and then you could see the library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was,
It's the freshman design studio.
The design studio, yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that was fun. And the coffee shop, is that still there too?
Jerry's is still there.
Yes, that was
I
always
only
good coffee.
recently discovered that Jerry's is named after a former Judson president.
Oh really?
Wow.
Yeah.
See, now now you've heard the term core memory unlocked. Now it's all unlocking again. I'm like, oh my goodness, I remember that. The woodworking, you were in woodworking class, which was really cool.
That was a fun class. I can't remember the professor's name, but he was.
Is it David Amundsen?
Yes.
David Amundsen.
He was amazing.
And I remember you telling me too that you were very nervous about it because you were nervous about the loud noises with the saw. But what is it? They're headphones?
They have noise canceling headphones that I used, and it was a piece of cake.
Yeah.
You know, my fear for it just went away after using that, and I really pushed through that class.
Do you remember what you made, or what's one of the pieces you're most proud of making?
So I made a box that was for my mom. It was for a Mother's Day gift.
Oh, cool.
And she still has it. Still sits in her little area in the dining room. And she just stores like some of her own personal stuff in it. It's painted. It's got like a I think I painted some like flowers and like some grass design on it. Just very nature based.
Cool.
The coating of it is red, and then there's also like the flower design on it and stuff. But yeah, I remember it. I remember that class like it was yesterday. You know, I remember all of the step-by-step process of putting all the wood together, coating it, finishing it, and for the final product. And I just remember that was probably one of my favorite classes there.
I know. Yeah. The wood shop at Judson is a really, really good resource for the community. And what's funny is at the bike shop, I have a little mini wood shop.
Oh, really?
That is not a competitor at all because we don't match anything that they have. But we do have a chop saw and a couple other, like a drill press and a couple other pieces that for students who didn't go through the class, they're kind of not allowed to be working on stuff in the wood shop. But it's such a great and powerful tool to know how to work with wood with your hands. Once you're empowered to do stuff like that we wanted to include it in our bike shop as well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Who made the table? I remember you telling me someone made a really cool table.
That was Emma.
Emma. I thought it was Emma, yeah.
Emma, yeah, our friend Emma. She made that table, and I think she sold it for $500, I think.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
Not bad.
wow.
Yeah.
Not bad.
And she was only a freshman.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I remember I was thinking about that as you were talking about the wood shop class. I was like, okay, now I remember Ryan telling me someone made a table and they sold it.
Did you take the wood shop class?
I never did. I did a lot of like, I did the Adobe classes with Professor Compton, which was always fun. I did the drawing. I did drawing 1 with Colpitts. Drawing 2 was with, what was his name? They were all the professors were just so amazing.
Was it Willett?
Willett, yes. I had him. So yeah, I spent a lot of time in the Haywack building.
Yeah.
With the always having my cup of coffee too. I always had to get the coffee. So yeah, that's very, very cool. So we got like maybe about 10 minutes left here. If we can take a quick time out, or if you still want to talk about anything else.
Let's keep going.
Let's keep going. Yeah, this is fun.
I'm on a roll.
There you go. There you go. So, okay, now tell us a little bit about, because you came from the Netherlands.
Yes, sir.
So what's your story there with the Netherlands?
Well, I was born and raised in the beautiful city of Amsterdam. So
Very
just
nice.
about the same size as Elgin. Just kidding. No, Amsterdam is about 1 million people, but it's really has the identity of a big city, right? And people from all around the world flock to it. But it has the culture of being a small town. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you walk down the streets, or you bike down the streets. Again, bikeability, and you'll see people that you know, like everywhere. The grocery store, the local street, the street market, in the public square, in the transit systems. Like, you'll see people everywhere. And so that city was where I lived about 17-ish years of my life. My parents are missionaries with an organization called WRMN, and they're all over the world. And so we've lived in a couple different countries, including the Philippines, Iraq, and the Netherlands being the one I've lived most of my life. But we visited the U.S. a couple times, mostly over the summers, to visit with extended family and visit with churches and other supporters, because we lived on donations. And yeah, with that in mind, I kept exploring the U.S. and understanding more about its formation and how it came to be, and wanted to then pursue architecture. I only applied to 2 schools, Judson University and the Technical University of Delft, or TU Delft, and actually failed the Dutch high school system because I couldn't keep up with the Greek homework pretty much. And ultimately still took a GED, because my dad was really smart, and he said you could take a GED anywhere on the planet and still have a high school diploma that anywhere in the US they would accept. And actually the TU Delft in the Netherlands, they also were still accepting me in to their entry weekend, even though they didn't fully know, I think, that I failed high school. So I was like intrigued by that. But anyway, found my way to Chicagoland, one-way ticket, not coming back to the Netherlands anytime soon. And I've been, of course, back since, but planning to set up shop here, literally, and keep building a career and exploring the opportunities that the U.S. has to offer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. And so I even remember very briefly, like when I first met you, you had like a very slight accent. I could kind of hear it a little bit. So Netherlands is it Dutch?
Sir, you got it right.
Okay.
On the money. He's on the money.
There we go.
This
All
is
right.
actually Dutch here on my shirt.
Oh, it's okay.
Brouwerij. See that? It's like it means brewery.
Brewery.
Okay.
Okay, and then there's Amsterdam.
See, it's very similar. It's
Yeah.
and English actually comes from Dutch, and so that's where some of that heritage. And then Dutch is Germanic, so it's they kept moving west, right? So they kept going from like Ukraine area. Actually, I think closer to Russia is where some of those Germanic roots are from, perhaps in Ukraine-ish is what they're saying. And then it kept moving west, and it was German tribes. The German language evolved, and then went west, and Old Dutch, which is very similar. If you read Shakespeare, a Dutch person like myself can read Shakespeare and understand a lot of those words more easily because they look like Old Dutch, and Old Dutch then crossed over the little channel and became Old English.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, like if you hear Russian and German, there are some very similar things. It's kind of like the pronunciation of like the uses of like well, I kind of guess it's like a roll of the tongue, kind of. Russians, you know, they like
Dobre.
Nostrovia,
Zdrowie.
like, the Ostanovka, Privedit. So they use, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, da, spasibo. So, you know.
I wonder,
kind of stuff like that,
what the
but-
connection. I know it's Cyrillic, the alphabet, which has Greek roots. I'd be curious to look into that more. That's really interesting.
So I'm trying to learn it a little bit.
Russian?
A little bit, yeah, because we have some now connections, because we found our half brothers and some other relatives too.
That's really cool.
Kind of doing that, you know, a little bit here and there.
Duolingo?
Duolingo, yes, that's the way to go. And
Russian Duolingo, that's cool.
Deep L is another.
Deep L is amazing.
That's another.
That's a
one
really
that we
good
use.
program to use to
Really?
translate. Yeah.
Huh.
Oh yeah. It's really good. Ever since I started using it, people can understand the Russian better in our family.
It's more about pronunciation.
Pronunciation, use of right words that translates it. Like, because sometimes there's like different parts of Russia that they speak it a little bit differently.
Yes, it's older Russian, and the more rural towns, which is where our mother's side came from, was the rural town of Totma.
Potma?
Temsky region and Vologdarov, which was just middle of nowhere. They lived in like cabins.
Is it Central Russia or
It's like
West or where?
It's like maybe like 3 hours from Moscow,
North?
more
South?
towards east.
Oh.
So it's not quite center, but
That's pretty
kinda,
central.
it's
That's
kinda
pretty out there.
in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere. I mean, then people in St. Petersburg are a little more. I think they even
Urban.
speak it just a tad bit English. Maybe
Theirs, I
bit.
think,
It's
is a little
bit different.
English
So.
in Russia.
So it's unique. You know, you learn those languages, and even within different countries, how those languages can differ, even just based off of where you might live in that country too. So I find that pretty fascinating.
All I know
as
is
well.
babushka is grandma and
Babushka.
legushka is
Yep.
frog.
Legushka?
Legushka.
Yeah, something like that. I'm probably mispronouncing it.
Muka is fly.
Muka?
That's what
Muka?
our mother
Something
was
like that,
called
yeah.
growing up.
Maybe
was
that's where we get
Muka.
That's what
mucus.
some of her friends said. They said that they called her the little fly.
The little
'cause
fly.
She was
Yeah.
The muka.
the little tiny. She was short. And now we know why we were short too. Ryan and I are only 5'6".
There you go.
Yep.
There you go.
So yeah, definitely, folks, check us out. Yeah, judsonu.edu. Yes, check out their website. You can shape your life to shape the world. I still remember that very well, of course. And you can check out information about admission and aid, academics, faith and life, campus life, resident life as well too, graduate studies and professional studies. They offer some really, really cool programs here. So definitely feel free to check it out, see it for yourself. There's the Judson Eagles. That's the, you said it's called the Spirit Shop. Is that right?
Spirit store.
The Spirit Store too. And I have to say, I always enjoyed the food there too.
Cafeteria is pretty good.
Was it the Thursdays they had burgers?
I don't know what it is.
Maybe it was
these days,
Wednesdays.
but
So
I know on
Thursday or
Sundays it's always more of a chill meal to also reduce some of the burden on the staff. That field image is outdated now because now there's a big new football field.
Yep.
If
Yeah.
you've checked it out recently, it's kind of cool. But yeah, the cafeteria, people complain about it a lot, but in reality, it's really good, and it doesn't compare. If you had to make your own food in your own dorm, a lot of students probably would not be able to beat what the cafeteria has to offer.
Right, exactly. I always enjoyed it. I like going to the cafeteria. Sometimes I did make my own food, which usually was just ramen. In my
Ramen
dorm.
or cereal.
Exactly. So, yeah, very, very cool, folks. If you want to check that out, and I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. This was fun.
Thank you.
It was
Yeah.
expected. I was expecting. I was like, okay, maybe just like 20 minutes or so, and that's
5 minutes
to
talk about bikes and then bye-bye.
Right, exactly. So again, folks, if you want to check it out, that is judsonu.edu. You can also find them at the Judson Bikes on Facebook, as well as the Judson Spirit Shop on online too. John, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to keep in touch. We'll definitely hang out for sure. This has been such a grand time here on the airwaves here. And folks, you're listening to WRMN AM 1410, Voice of the Valley, Talk the Town. And thank you, Ryan, for being here too.
Thank you for having me.
Well, of course, anytime. Anytime. You're always welcome.
Yep.
Absolutely. Folks, we're going to take a time out as we get into the top of the hour news and messages from our sponsors. We'll be back with more of Out to Lunch here with WRMN as we hit it off with the 11 o'clock hours. Stay tuned. We'll be back more in just a little bit.